Welcome to another episode of the Back Row Redskins Show, and this is your host, Manny. Let's go. I have my very good friend, Dujane Bland, here. He is an NFL reporter as well as a Redskins reporter. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So, man, we have a lot to talk about. The Washington Post just dropped a huge one on us today. Allegations about 15 women being sexually assaulted. And we've been hearing things in the past, about the cheerleaders and things of that nature. And then it was like, is this real? Is this a joke? Like, what is happening right now?
It's an unfortunate set of circumstances. Pretty much the article is just, multiple ladies were improperly or sexually harassed, verbally harassed. There were improper text messages being sent to these individuals. Unfortunately, these people felt like they couldn't speak because they were in fear of their jobs. It's a work environment that you would think in 2020 that we wouldn't be talking about, but here we are. And it's really unfortunate that these ladies had to endure this for this long period of time before this being able to be put out and basically for them to be heard, basically.
Absolutely. And I heard that it was 3 guys that, notable guys. I don't know how many, but Alex Santos, Richard Mann, and Larry Michael. Okay. Yeah. What was Alex Santos and Richard Mann's position on the team?
They were basically, the guys that ran the back office. Those are the guys that were in charge and, ran the back office. A lot of the guys, they were in charge of a lot of things. So that's at least from what my understanding of that is that they were the guys in the back office. They were guys in charge of those types of things. So,
okay. And have both been replaced, or has it been 1 or 2 being replaced?
They got fired this week. Alex Santos and Richard Mann got fired this week, and then Larry Michael was he retired or whatever. So
right,
and that was pretty much it.
And like when I started hearing reports about the minority owners wanting to sell the team, I'm like, well, if the name is going to change, right, and if we are going to move the stadium to DC, you'll think that things are going well in terms of finances and everything. So for them to want to sell, I was like, man, there's more to this. So those reports first came out.
Yeah, that very well could have a lot to do with it. Like I said, it's just an unfortunate set of circumstances. And, the thing of it is, at least these people are in the building. And I understand the last bit of it happened this week. But I think it should be made clear that I think Ron Rivera has done an excellent job. And sometimes you have to vet things. You know what I mean? The guy is new. So he's going through a process. He's got to evaluate players. He has to evaluate his staff and see who he wants to keep from the former staff, get his people in. He had a lot of work to do. And he's been in charge of a lot. And that what he wants to do is change the culture. And it takes some time. And, as you can see, they've been diligently working and looking to get people so that this ball club can get back to its winning ways and have some respectability. And here we are this week, and 3 names, are no longer with the team. So, it's a process, and Ron Rivera is taking, doing his due diligence and doing just that.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Ron Rivera, do you think that when he got the job, when he met with Dan Snyder, do you feel like that he kind of knew what was going on, or do you think that, what do you think?
I don't think anybody knows what's going on. It's like, I'll use the example of, okay, so you've been with the company for a long time and you reached the pinnacle where you wanted to go, and now you're going to a new company, but you're going to a new company as the head person in charge. You're the guy who's running everyone in the building. Well, you have to take time to get to know these people, right? You have to go through your guys that are there that you're going to entrust to carry out what you want to do. So you're vetting these people, seeing if they fit your staff. And then sometimes you might make and move some people around. because you see that their skills are better fit somewhere else. So, I don't think anybody knows anything. You have to go in and have to do your due diligence. And it seems as if Dan has given him that ability to do so. These hard, very difficult changes are being made swiftly. So I think that's a positive thing.
And speaking of Ron Rivera, man, he's the perfect guy for the job. He's a no-nonsense kind of guy, a guy who's going to come in and command respect. And we already see that when he came in and Quentin Dunbar, wanting a new deal, and Ron Rivera saying, hey, man, you got to play. We got to see you. We got to know if you can play a full season and things of that nature. And he was able to come in, step in, and then trade him. And then now we see what has happened to Quentin Dunbar.
Right. And that's the thing. You have to establish a hierarchy right from the beginning. And he has a hard and very well detailed plan. It's been effective over his time. He's he's a man of integrity, but a man of faith. That shows in the way that he carries himself, how he cares about the community, the people in the community, and the people that he works with. Just look at some of the comments of him coming from Carolina. So I wouldn't expect anything different. He's been given the tools or the keys, so to speak, to be able to develop this whole entire thing, to start and get things cleaned up, really get cleaned up, not patchwork and allow him to do some things, but has been given the full keys to this Ferrari here. So, there's some work to be done on it, of course, but he's trying to get it back to where it's running at top speed and blowing guys away again. So
absolutely,
I think this is important. I think it's valuable and important, and he's important to this whole entire process.
Absolutely. I read something that Ron Rivera has a daughter and she works at the Redskins Park. Is that true?
That I can't comment on because I really don't know. So
okay, because I see a lot of things out there and I don't know what's true and what's not.
Right.
But
right. I'm just not sure.
Okay. I read something saying that his daughter works for the Redskins and he's not going to stand for this and things of that nature. And people were really appreciating Ron today. The kind of guy that we were able to bring in to kind of help change his franchise. And if the team is winning, it's less drama. But when you're not winning, it just seems like, with the name change. Like Lake came on the show this week and he was talking about, you don't see teams like the Chiefs, Indians. You don't see these teams being scrutinized, but because of our lack of winning, we're always going to be in the news. Okay.
Yep.
So moving forward, what do you think Ron's plan is? Having his, first year, he's been able to do his first draft. And moving forward, like, what do you see with the culture that he's building?
Well, I think one thing you saw from him, and it was obvious in the press conference, it was no eyes. He really, I think if anybody takes there's no eyes in team personal, it's Ron Rivera. There's a lot of we's and us when he's speaking. That's the first thing. That's the first key to quality leadership, is including those that you are leading, so to speak. And that type of stuff is important. It resonates with the heart, and people are more likely to, be willing to follow you. And he's a guy who practices what he preaches. So knowing the guy that he is, I just think it's just a matter of creating a team unified front. The one band, one sound type of thing.
Right.
And keep moving forward on that. And of course, it's not just about what goes on the football field. It's also about what goes on in the front office. Everybody has to work well together. Everybody has to be of one sound mind and one mission. And if you can do that, which it has been done here, Joe Gibbs, it has been done.
Absolutely.
So if you can do that, it's been proven. I mean, look at New England. So I think when you do that, you're going to have a quality product. And I really am, on that side of it, really excited for fans.
Okay. We're going to get into some real football talk, but I need to go back to what just happened. With everything going on at Redskins Park, Do you think that with the reports coming out, because I didn't read the reports, but with the reports coming out, do you think that they're forcing Dan to sell the team, or what do you think happens there?
I don't know. That's one of those things. I think the legal department, legal whatever legal action that happens here, that will kind of sort itself out. So that's something I don't really know about, and I don't think anybody really knows, honestly. I'm sure there's a lot of speculation, but I hate to speculate, on that. But anything's possible. I mean, we have there could be other things that come from this that people are going to have to sit and explain themselves in front of a court. So we'll see how the next steps are. But there's definitely something else that has to come down the pipe. So I guess we'll just have to kind of wait how it all plays out.
Right. Like my only fear with this whole thing is a lot was happening underneath Dan's nose. So if Dan knew, that's when it becomes a problem. Right. But if Dan doesn't know, because obviously there was an investigation, okay? And when Dan found out, from my understanding, he was able to fire these guys, that were in violation. Now, if Dan does knows, that's when it becomes a problem, and then worst case scenario is if Dan is forced to sell the team, and he does sell the team, and if a new owner comes, then it's like Rivera, new owner, players. You know what I'm saying? These players believe in Ron Rivera. He's built this team for his culture. So now when you're bringing in a new owner who might have a different vision, a different, mindset. So that's what us fans, we're like, really, that's not the worst scenario. The worst scenario is that a new owner comes, buys the team, and moves the team. I think that's the worst that can happen, is moving the team. We already don't have the name. And then you move the team, that's the worst that can happen. But I can speculate a little bit and say that I think everything is going to be okay. I think that, of course, they're going to go to court and do all they need to do. But from what I was hearing in the reports was that Dan didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the article said from the Washington Post, that neither Bruce or Dan knew anything about it. So, that's something that they're going to have to, comb through as they investigate this a little bit more and really see. But, at the end of the day, those responsible, they're going to have to, face the music, so to speak. So,
right.
And, hopefully these things get resolved so that, people can move, things can kind of, be people can begin to heal and, and move forward. So I couldn't tell you on that one, man. I don't think that anybody should worry about the team moving or anything. But
good.
As far as all the ramifications of that, and that's my humble opinion. Like I can't nail that or anything. I wouldn't be in fear of that though. I think there's a value to this team here in the DC area. So, I think things will work themselves out.
Absolutely. Now, this next one, we might be able to talk about it. We might not be able to talk about it. But have you heard the rumors about Jay Gruden?
Who was that?
Jay Gruden. The rumors.
Yeah. Rumors are rumors. Rumors. Armpits, my man.
Hey, rumors are rumers. I mean,
I don't discuss rumors. Unless
right. So
information, then I can talk about it, like an article, like a factual article.
Right.
I need some witnesses or something.
Yeah,
rumors I can't do.
You have players throwing shade like Josh Norman. We all know how that story happened. He just didn't work out here. He had maybe a good year, maybe a good year and a half. And then, he gets cut. And, JP Finley retweeted a Josh Norman a statement saying that, what goes around comes around. Don't ask me no questions. I don't know anything. So that's kind of telling me you might know something, but you don't want to say anything. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, if he knew what was going on and didn't speak up or didn't say anything, it doesn't make you look good. Maybe you shouldn't have said anything, in my humble opinion. So I've seen a lot of things out there with Capri and, Capri Bibbs and Jay Gruden, and, noise is noise.
Right.
Until, like you said, facts come out, we'll see what's going on, what happened. And I don't know the time frame of all this stuff happening. Right. But I do know that Jay Gruden was most likely the coach because he's been the coach for a while.
Right. So I think the article said, I know it was up until this time. I don't remember what they said the start date was, but everybody knows where the Washington Post is. So if you're interested to check out the article,
all right, yeah. So we're gonna leave it at that. Yeah, you guys can check out the Washington Post, read the article for yourself. It's real serious stuff, and my hopes is that everything works out. I feel sorry for what happened to those ladies, even though it's allegations right now. They have to go to court and go through that whole process. I wish them well, and I hope that the team can come out of this and move to better. Better.
Even a team, but even just all around. You know what I mean? It's like this is something that we got to start doing better, people. Like,
absolutely,
it's too much this nonsense. We got to start doing better.
Absolutely.
And hopefully this is not this is a lesson that everyone can learn from. And it's unfortunate that people were unable to speak out until things they felt comfortable and certain people were out of the way they could speak. So I'm glad that that's been able to be happen. So it can be these allegations can be investigated, but we got to do better, man. We got to learn better. We have to do better in all aspects.
And this is a lesson for the entire NFL. Use it as an example.
Absolutely.
This is what happened. Now, HR got to step up. Front office got to step up. The NFL has to step up and make sure that things like this are not happening.
Absolutely.
This shouldn't be coming out. This is the NFL. You'll think that, people are.
This doesn't just happen in the NFL. It happens all over the world, and from your small businesses to big business, and it's got to stop, man. And it's got to, there has to be things in place so that people, when these things happen, have the ability to have a voice and speak out on these things so that justice or they can be investigated. And these don't happen to more and more people because people are afraid to come forward because of their jobs being lost. That's my thing.
Absolutely. So let's get into some football now. Now that we got this out the way. Kelvin Harmon, man. I had big hopes for Kelvin Harmon this year. I felt that Kelvin Harmon was going to be that number 2 receiver, our best receiver outside of Terry McLaurin. Okay.
Right.
And, the injury happens. And when the news came out, I was in shock because I was scrolling down and then I seen Harmon posting, I just had surgery. I'm like, well, Schefter didn't post it. Garofalo didn't post it. All these guys didn't post it. JP Finley didn't post it. So I'm like, is this real? Next thing I know, they all see the tweets and I'm like, oh man, Kelvin Harmon. So who do you think is going to come in and step into that number 2 role?
Antonio Golden Gandy, man.
Hey, that's my guy. I
got that one.
I just call him AGG.
Bro, I mean, I really like what I saw out of him. Senior Bowl guy knows how to use his body. Kind of reminds me, he's a quicker version of Kelvin Harmon, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I like Kelvin Harmon when he was coming out as well. He's not as fast, and people are like, oh, well, he can't take the top off the defense. But Kelvin Harmon was a nice route runner. He knows how to use his body to get proper position so that he always comes down with the ball. And I feel like he's the same way. Antonio's the same way. And let's not forget, they have 2 Antonios. And my man from Memphis is –
it's a bad boy.
Nasty.
Now, speaking of Antonio, do you think he's going to play more receiver or more running back? How do you see him being used?
See, what people fail to realize is that he was wide receiver first. Now, in Memphis, they used him in a lot of multiple packages for out of running back, out of the backfield. And for a vetted wide receiver, he has incredible vision.
Yes.
Now, I'll give you guys a story. So at the Senior Bowl, he was not slated to be the running back. Okay. He was working out with the wide receivers and the running backs, but he was going to play wide receiver. one wide receiver, running back pulled out, they put him in. And he showcased his talents, and they're legit. I mean, he had very good vision, and he doesn't waste time. There's no wasted motion. I don't know if you had the opportunity to watch the Super Bowl game, but he just sticks his foot in the ground and goes.
He's gone.
He had a great burst. Kind of reminds me of Chris Thompson in that way of being able to put him in multiple situations, and he understands where he needs to be, what he needs to do to get himself open and be a viable target to the quarterback.
Right, and he's big. He's big. I think they said for the people his height and weight, he was the fastest.
Yes,
he's one of the fastest. So that's something to look at. Chris Thompson was a smallish guy. This guy is not small.
I loved him. Love watching him. Love watching him at Memphis, and thought he really showcased himself at the Senior Bowl.
Awesome. Now I'm going to give you a statement. When I give you the statement, you tell me what you say to reply to this statement. And AGG played at Liberty. He didn't play anybody. What do you say to that?
There's competition everywhere.
Absolutely.
And I think you have to dig deep. I'll use Jordan Love an example. I tweeted that the guy looked straight, and I got murdered when I tweeted that at the Senior Bowl. It was all the hype, blah, blah, blah. Just look at the intangibles. But the guy didn't play anybody. Okay. Right. But you still got to go against defenses. You still got to read them. You still got to make the proper throws, let alone the guy didn't have like many weapons to get the ball to. He was making do with what he had and was still putting up numbers. And I thought he showcased that in the Senior Bowl as well. You know, out in the NFL, if he works as hard as he has throughout his career in the college ranks, he should be able to come in there and be able to be that next quarterback or to be available in case someone gets hurt. And I feel the same way about Antonio. Guy, that's always a bunch of excuses. Everybody act like the SEC is the only ones that exist.
Exactly.
It's the one thing that you watch and they blow them up on TV. But if you dig a little bit, there's some competition everywhere.
Hey, he played big against the big schools. He played very well against the big schools. And I think there was a game versus Virginia. And who was that cornerback that came out of Virginia? Is it Bryce Hall?
I think that's who it is. I think that's who you're talking about.
Yeah, they said that he played very well versus top talent. So when people say this person went to a small school, I give them the Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, who went to Tennessee State, where I went. Exactly. And in one of my previous podcasts, I was saying, well, if a DRC went to a small school, right? Then you look at what did he do? Did he dominate? Was he like a Deion Sanders type player in that smaller conference? Did he shut people down?
Right, exactly.
You gotta so if you're saying AGG isn't this good or blah blah blah, but did he dominate? Did he do what he was supposed to do
against that talent? Absolutely.
So when people say, "Oh, you came from a small school," blah blah blah, if you're dominating, if you're out there putting up numbers like you're supposed to, I just want to see them come into the NFL and do something. So it's like,
look at you.
Yeah.
Small school.
Yeah.
Small school. That stuff don't make a difference, man. And again, people sleep on the Senior Bowl. It's people understand now that the Senior Bowl is, if they ask you to come, you better do it. Unless you want a championship, you best do what you have to do to get there. Because a lot of guys have done an excellent job of catapulting themselves up that draft ladder by participating in this game. So,
and DRC was one of them. He was invited to the Senior Bowl and seeing that TSU on his helmet. I was so proud. And then he's picked number 16 in the first round.
Exactly.
Senior Bowl.
Man, some of the best talent there.
Absolutely.
And, they give them the opportunity to showcase themselves. They know how big that stage is. And it's a fun event for them. But at the same time, it's business, too. This is pre-draft showcase before you go to the combine. So you have your pro days. So you're going to come out here and you're going to give it everything you got and show that, hey, man, I belong. So and then, coaches are looking at you. So there's some motivation there when you have NFL coaches. You're working with those guys and it's motivation for those guys, and they definitely come in and show out.
Absolutely. Steven Sims, Give me your projection, or what are you expecting out of Steven Sims this year?
I think they have two Swiss Army knives in Gibson and Sims. He's versatile. I like him in the slot, but I like him with a lot of the gadget stuff that we saw, at least from the Jay Gruden offense. I like him a lot. He's a hard worker. Can you put him in special teams? Absolutely. We've seen what he can do there. And they have options there with Gibson as well. He can do that as well. But I think that he is a guy that really can solidify the slot. And he's not pigeonholed in that slot, but I think he can be a very viable target in the slot for Dwayne Haskins. Guy knows what he needs to do to get open, and he always makes himself available some way, somehow.
And honestly, to me, with Kelvin Harmon not being here, he's going to command a lot of targets.
Right.
He's going to see targets all over the place. So I'm excited to see him in that slot. But I believe he's one of those guys that's working on his foot, footwork. He's out there, working on his hands, and you see the progression of what he's trying to do. He's trying to be an all-around wide receiver, and with the way that our tight end position is set up, somebody has to catch the ball. And with Terry McLaurin being on the other side, taking on all the top corners, it opens up for AGG and Sims. So I'm expecting both of those guys to have a big season. So for those who play fantasy and dynasty and things of that nature, you better grab those two guys, because targets.
Exactly.
And being a young team, and not saying that we're going to win 13 games or anything like that. I think we're going to be competitive. And if we're losing some games, what do you do to come back? You got to pass, right?
Right.
So, targets are going to be lovely for even guys like you said, Antonio Gibson. He's going to be another guy now that I think with Harmon out, he's going to have to play some receiver.
Yep. He just moved up the ladder. And again, then this game is all about versatility.
Absolutely.
More weapons. It's about versatility and weapons.
Yep.
You have a guy in Dwayne Haskins with a big arm that I don't care what people say. He makes smart decisions with the football. He doesn't make smart decisions with the football.
Right.
He understands what he did wrong, and you don't ever see him make the same mistake twice. I think with him being hungry, he got something to prove, and I think he's daggone sure going to prove it. And now they have some weapons, some versatile weapons that they can use and not end up being pigeonholed in the sense that people come up and you line up and they kind of have an idea of what you're going to do. And force you into something. I think people are sleeping on this wide receiver core, and I don't think there's any need to bring anybody, like an Antonio Brown up in here. You have quality wide receivers on this squad that have more than enough capability of being viable targets. It's all about coaches knowing what your personnel is, scheming to that personnel, and bringing out the best in what they do best. Not what you want to do.
Right. And this also opens up for guys like Cam Sims and Trey Quinn. To me, they were on the bubble to making the team, especially if we're keeping 6.
Yes.
And with Antonio Gibson being a hybrid, taking some of that, because if we're going to keep 4 running backs, maybe 5 because of, injuries and pub and all that stuff, I was looking like, okay, how is this really going to play out? I was thinking 5 receivers, 5 running backs, but Antonio Gibson just being a floater in between the two. But now with Harmon out, it opens up. Hey, Trey Quinn, you got one more chance. Hey, it's put up or shut up. Even some of the undrafted guys that we got.
Absolutely, yeah.
It opens up.
There's going to be guys that have an opportunity, and it's so important for these guys to be able to step up. And showcase their talent. They're going to have every opportunity to do so, hopefully.
Absolutely.
So, and this is the thing. They have to be ready. Let's not overlook that we have a COVID here. So, it's a possibility that they only have 2 preseason games. So there's some adjustments that's going to have to be made to these rosters, because I think your approach has to be that you're going to guarantee that someone's going to get infected. You have to just assume that that's going to happen. That's how we're operating. It's going to happen. So you're going to have a reserve pool of players that you're going to be able to pull from, and they're going to have to be ready to step in for whoever that position may get infected. Those guys have to be prepared. So that's important for them to know the playbook, to make sure that they're constantly in that playbook and understanding what they need to do, because your number can be called at any time. Especially when you're talking about a sport that relies on a lot of contact.
Absolutely.
So, I'm sure there will be plenty of protocols in place. I'll use the NHRA as an example a little bit less when it comes down to as far as players on the field and what they do, but they have had fans in the first race. They will have fans in this race. The requirements they're asking, everybody's wearing a mask, etc. So they're trying to show that they can do this with the crowd. And I believe that it can be done if you take the right precautions. And we'll see how it goes. But as the NFL goes, they're going to have to have these protocols in place, and just with the thing of, hey, it's going to happen, and those players have to look at themselves and say, hey, it's going to happen. My number could be called. I need to be ready.
Absolutely. So, man, the running backs, man, let's just talk. We're just going to talk offense. The running backs, it's real puzzling. I'm a big Darius Geis fan. I've told the story numerous times. When he first got drafted, I went to one of those sites and bought his jersey just to say, hey, I was one of the first people to have a Darius Geis jersey. I'm a big fan of his, but the problem has been staying on the field.
Right.
Okay? And we drafted him in the second round, meaning that he's the future, right? Then we drafted Bryce Love. We actually traded back to pick him up in West Martin with that Kirk Cousins pick. So obviously he's part of the future plans. Then we draft Gibson, right? Then we have AP. So how do you see that running back situation shaping up? How many running backs do you see us keeping?
Oh, man. That's a good question. See, I think you'll have some leeway. I don't know who's going to be on the active roster. I'd like to say Geis is your number one for sure.
Absolutely.
I think it's AP behind that. And then who knows where Bryce Love is right now.
Right.
And you could put Gibson in that, but Gibson is you can throw him anywhere.
Right.
Honestly, you can make him your kick returner.
Exactly. Kick returner.
Exactly. And still put him on offense.
Exactly.
So there are so many ways they can go with this, but I think that's your three. Do they keep four? I don't really know. But I think there's going to be enough leeway with the roster situation that they're not going to have to worry about, canning a guy that they don't, that they're not going to be able to, because they won't be able to hold on to him. But I definitely think it's Darius Geis 1, AP 2, and then maybe you throw in the Gibson deal, or if Bryce Love is there, then Bryce Love is I think the third. Right.
And notice that we didn't even mention J.D. McKissick or Peyton Barber. It's just to me, I thought those guys were brought in to compete, to where if, let's say, injury, then maybe, hey. But it's like J.D. making a team when you have a Gibson, it just doesn't make any sense.
It's hard to pass that up. You know what I mean? It's like you got Gibson over J.D. I mean, don't get me wrong, physical runner. He is not afraid of contact. Does an excellent job in the open field, but you ain't going to. You're not going to.
But then it's like, do you make him a slot receiver to back up Sims with what's going on? Do you say, hey, you want to play some receiver? You compete with Quinn? I don't know. I'm just.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do. I mean, like I said, with the weapons they have, the game plans that they can come up with, it is unreal. You look at what they did over there in Carolina. They just had one, and he's, McCaffrey's healthy all the time. He's pretty durable. You see how they used him, and now you have guys that are similar with that type of speed, the ability to catch out of the backfield. I'm really my mind is going everywhere with what they can do offensively with those type of guys.
Awesome. So let me get into this last position. The tight ends. Whew, I think that's the weakest position that we have.
Right.
How do you see that shaking up?
I really like Thaddeus Moss.
Okay.
I was hoping that they would have drafted him, and they didn't have to.
They didn't have to.
But if you've watched him play, boy balls.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Jordan Reed.
Okay.
Without the injuries. Okay.
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate situation for a super good guy.
Yeah.
Who always put it on the line for the team. And some of his injuries were just because nobody would make the call and stop people from doing that to him. But he reminds me of him. He's a guy that if he improves and continue to better himself in that blocking aspect, the rest is easy. I mean, the guy that size, streaking down the middle for a little skinny post route over the middle, just, suck the linebacker up and get him just over the top there for those big 15-yarders. And he has the ability to get yak. So you can add him into the mix. And don't get me wrong, I think they have a good rotation of guys too. I think they all play a role, but I really do like Thaddeus Moss's opportunity. Now, of course, with all this COVID and trying to get some kind of team unity and him finding his place out there, we'll see how quickly he can pick that up and become fluent with everything. But I like him a lot.
And is he healthy? You think?
Yeah, I think he's healthy. Look, man, I think sometimes a lot of these things get made too much of a deal of. And sometimes it's legit when you're getting a guy like Bryce Love. They knew he was injured, but it's all the upside.
Right. Absolutely.
This guy had it, sure. It's football. You're going to get dinged up. There's going to be little things. So his dad's Randy Moss. So I'm sure he's getting all kinds of tips, getting himself ready, and staying ready. And he's got the opportunity, and there's no doubt that he's hungry to prove himself. And, he wants to prove himself. He wants to be Thaddeus Moss, not Randy.
Absolutely. And what I've been seeing from the fans, there's some fans that love Thaddeus Moss, and there's some fans that hate Thaddeus Moss. Now, what I've been hearing from the fans is he's slow. He runs a slow 40. He didn't play a full, he was hurt a lot in college. But when you look at the numbers, he doesn't drop passes.
Exactly.
When you look at the numbers, he's big. So what do you say to those fans? Because I know you watch a lot of college. What do you say to those fans that say that he's slow or that he has health? You're to cover the health. What do you say to those fans that say, hey, he's slow?
Chris Cooley. I mean, they've had several tight ends that knew how to get open. I'll go to Jason Witten with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
The example. Even late in his career, if a guy knows how to get open and use his body to get open, he knows how to get open. And at the end of the day, would you like to have a Kelsey like back tight end? Sure.
Right.
Nobody's gonna turn that down. But I'll also take a guy that when I'll take an Art Monk type of tight end that I know that when I need that first down and he's open over the middle, that Mr. Surehands is going to bring it in. Exactly. Ain't going to be no ball popping out like, a popcorn kernel or any of that nonsense. A sure hand guy that knows how to get open, a big tight end, something that this is where the league is going now. I mean, you've basically got big wide receivers at tight end.
Right.
With the speed that they have. Really, I even tell my nephew all the time, it's like, it's not so much about the speed as it is about running and knowing how to use the route to manipulate your opponent. That's what's important. You can be fast all day, but if I can't run a route to save my life and don't know how to use my body and different moves, different things to manipulate the corner, then what good am I?
Exactly.
The guy who can run down the field and go run fly routes. Like, you can't help the team in a critical situation.
Hey, I got some names for you. Remember Darius Hayward Bay. Oh, he's so fast. Speed. Where is he now? John Ross. Remember John Ross went so high. Where is he now? So speed is not everything. You know what I'm saying?
you got to know how to use a guy, but
I don't know how to use it.
Like speed ain't always the key. If
Right.
you can couple that with quality route running,
Mm-hmm.
man, you got yourself a weapon. So I'll take the guy who can run a solid route and know how to get open and use his body and manipulate that corner to get himself open.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that's just going to try to use the speed to try to get open. And a lot of times, man, we know this is the NFL. This isn't college. Corners are smart. And they a lot of these corners now are as big as wide receivers. Some of them converted wide receivers, so they understand. They study these things. They understand what the wide receiver is trying to do. So it's all about being able to polish that. And I think we've seen that with Terry McLaurin. Absolutely.
Hey, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for answering some of this tough questions. A lot has happened over the last 2 to 3 weeks at Redskins Park, and hopefully things get better, and hopefully we're going up and not down.
Yeah, it is. Look, the thing of it is, these people aren't here, and the good thing is that these people's voices are being heard, and two, you see what people have been asking for, the house cleaning. It is being done, and you can see that there is seriousness to this house cleaning. And these things were able to be brought to light because of the due diligence of Ron Rivera and this new staff, really taking with a fine-tooth comb and doing their due diligence to make sure that they have quality individuals with this football team and that are all working towards one collective goal that the fans have been crying to see. And I really hope that after this, there could be nothing but positive things to talk about and for the fans to have joy about as well.
Okay. So there's one more question. I remember a fan hit me up on Twitter and said something about a bombshell. I mean, was this it? Was this the?
I don't like when people use words like that, but I respect them for, so everybody feels a certain way about the information being given. You know what I mean? Some people feel that it's a heavy weight and it's a big deal. Some people just feel like, hey, man, this is something that's being uncovered, and good thing that it's being uncovered, and let's move on from this.
Absolutely.
And so I don't. Whatever people want to say is whatever people want to say, and I want to say too that a lot of people were talking about people not sharing the information or whatever, and I co-sign what JP said. It wasn't their story to tell. So I understand that people wanted answers and was really curious about what was going on, but it really wasn't their story to tell. And a lot of people heard rumors, but I mean, you can't go running and telling about rumors. You know what happens when you assume stuff, right? So these guys had the story, they did the work and the investigation, and it was their story to tell, not anyone else's. So that's why people didn't comment on it. So that's something that JP said, and I just wanted to echo that as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So how can the fans find you on social media?
It's at not Bland 21 on everything. I'm a little easier with the, I accept more on Twitter and Instagram. But it's not Bland 21 on everything. And then of course you can find the written work at sportsjourney.com, and also the podcast with my co-host Karita Parks, The Breakdown. That is also on the Sports Journey site as well. So you can just click on that little box there, and it'll start playing, and you can listen. So
awesome. This has been another episode of the Back Row Redskins Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much to my special guest. Make sure you guys follow him on social media. Great guy, great content. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter at the Back Row Redskins. Also, I got more guests coming up. Got some good things coming up, so you guys stay tuned.